feed. Those are special, right? Really struggling with this. I'm really having a hard, like I said, it's this existential crisis where, you know, come on, God, like, like seriously, send me the vision, the born again vision, so I can be like, I experienced this thing and it made me like, undeniably Christian. Of course, can't be like, some sort of weird brown sort of miracle. Has to be white. But keep to think like this is just it's. I just want to be dumb like you guys are. Is that really too much to ask? Like I think you're really dumb. I want to know what that building is. Oh, too late. Oh, they're gonna show it again though. So, because there's always 2 episodes. I want you guys to tell me what this fucking building is. This show is so crazy to watch this. To watch this to see how different things were. It's like a different world. Okay, so what building is this? This thing is huge. Who the fuck built that? What is that? That's that's a fucking crazy building. Well, like I said, I'm seeing it everywhere where I'm seeing like there's this awakening taking place where people are absolutely seeing the Israel issue, and it's happening and it's stretching into, Spain and all these other countries on actual like, real like governmental issues. Things are getting passed. Uh, certain place, they're not going to let this happen. They're no longer going to deal with Israel. There's all these pieces of this that are seemingly coming together. But at the same time, like, it's like everybody that's allowed to be a truther, all of the Ian Carrolls and Nick Fuenteses and Dan Blazarians and, all the smaller, lower level guys who, their videos are everywhere. I see their videos all the time. They get thousands and thousands of views. They say really, really, powerful things. So many of these guys are saying essentially more than I am. They're giving you details. They're talking about, they're giving you names and all these things that I'm not necessarily doing. But at the same time, you're seeing like, so many people act like they're telling you some secrets when they're talking about the Balfour Declaration. I was watching this guy who was a friar, and he said as a kid he was born in the United States in 1948, and he was raised to believe that there were two enemies. Oh, everybody was an enemy, but there were two major enemies, which was the Germans for what they did and the Arabs for what they wanted to do. And he was saying, he was bringing up, he brought up the Nakba and how things changed so drastically in 48 when the colonization of Israel started to take place. And I'm going, yeah, but what about the Havara Agreement? It's like there's these pieces that have been coming across lately that aren't being talked about necessarily by the majority. I'm generally finding them as I'm as I'm going into the rabbit hole. I'm finding these pieces that I'm just kind of shocked with. The Havara Agreement, I think I saw somebody else talk about, but I can't remember what it was. But the Havara Agreement, like if you believe the colonization began in 48, then you more than likely, I mean, I'd be willing to bet that unless you're a watcher of mine, you've probably not heard of the Havara Agreement. And the Havara Agreement was signed between the Zionist Federations, which is a name, the Zionist Federations, and the Nazis. And it was a deal to allow to an agreement to allow the German friars, 60,000 German friars, to migrate to Israel, to what would be Israel, to Palestine, and start colonizing Palestine. Between 33 and 39, 60,000 Germans were moved, and they were allowed to keep their wealth. You know? And you just think like, okay, that doesn't fit the story that we're told for sure. Hang on a second. But that's and then again, you see so many people will be talking about it, and they'll talk about the Balfour Declaration. And I don't hear anybody talking about the auto emancipation pamphlet. I found that was one I found on my own. That wasn't something somebody else told me to look into. Like that was a shock. That was just based out of curiosity. I thought to myself, I wonder where this comes from. Let me look into it. Hang on. And I'm seeing this. I'm seeing a manipulation take place, and I don't even know what to do. And at the same time, I'm getting verification that I'm correct because of the censorship. But what good does that do me if I'm censored in the process, and nobody else can see what I'm like stuck in this. I don't even know how to, like, it's so fucking strange. It's just strange. Look at me. I have one fucking viewer. 2 likes, 1 viewer. Prior to Charlie Kirk, the day Charlie Kirk got shot, I had 2,800 views. Like the next day, it dropped down to 40. I'm clearly being censored because I'm figuring this out. Because it's obviously talking about Israel, talking about Epstein, talking about all sorts of aspects of this doesn't get you in trouble. There are lots of people out there that are, I mean, maybe it's just because of my preferences and my social media feeding me, but like the amount of people talking about Israel on just page after page after page, the good life, and all these, everybody's talking about this. Whether you're in this circle or not, you're seeing, people are exposing this shit. And there are lots of people like the Young Turks and again, I always live off the same, I don't even know the people because I don't watch enough of these people. I don't, to me, it's kind of strange because it seems almost if you've seen one, you've seen them all. Because nobody's actually telling you different shit. Like Ian Carroll's really great about telling you, like validating what you already know. But like he's just giving you names and characters and all that shit to the pieces, and he's really good at what he does. But he's also a Christian, and this is just such a strange thing for me. I'm really struggling with this. How is it Christians don't seem to know their own origins? Like how do we overcome this? I need this epiphany. I believe I'm doing things the best way I know how, which is, the Charlie Kirk, prove me wrong. I'm going to sit out here, I'll do my thing. If I'm wrong, you tell me what I'm wrong about. And we'll go from there. And I'm like, again, I feel so prepared. And look, 1 person's here. 1 person, 2 viewers, two likes. Maybe if I reset, it'll work. I don't know. I don't know what to do anymore. I know that the censorship is outrageous. I know it has my wife freaked out a little bit. I know it's frustrating. At the very least, do you know how much better I would feel if I was able to if there wasn't the clear and obvious censorship, and instead I was just getting, made to look stupid. People were coming on here debunking what I had to say. I was like, I guess I was wrong, and that would be that. But it's this censorship that when you see just how like 10 years ago it made 5 years ago it made sense, you know? Because I was breaking ground by saying the things I was saying because it wasn't something that everybody was saying. Alex Jones even admits he avoided talking about this until recently when he basically had to maintain his flock. But for years, this I was the pariah for saying these things. All the time knowing that when I right, it would then kick over and it'd be like, yeah, that was the guy that was saying this stuff this whole time. All these other people are sort of bandwagon people, but this guy was saying it long before it was okay. It was cool to say it. And instead it's because of I mean, I guess I'm left to my own devices since there is no verbal or obvious opposition, but this isn't how social media works. I mean, I have 2,600. What do I have? How many subscribers do I even have on here? I don't even know. I think it's over 2,000. If it's 2,600, that's funny because that's all it's ever been allowed to be. Like 2,600 was always this weird cutoff point. But I do have over 1,000. Pretty sure it's over 2,000 people following me. Are you saying when I go live, out of those couple thousand people who chose to follow me for saying these things, none of them want to come here after all that's happened is I've been proven right over the last few months? Like, this isn't how it works. It's not how social media works. You don't get a whole bunch of numbers saying controversial shit, and then as that controversial shit comes through, your numbers fall apart. Like that what sense would that make? How would anybody be able to make it if that was the case? Oh shit. Like I could tell you that when my numbers were steadily climbing, I was it was bittersweet for me because I knew, well shit, I must be getting to the point where they're going to start blocking me soon. There's no way they're going to let me continuously tell the truth. Tell the truth with no agenda. How many people do you know that are telling the truth with no ulterior motives, no hidden agenda? I'm telling the truth, and I because I want everyone's life to be better. I want my wife and my children and myself to live the happiest, healthiest, safest lives we can. And I only, and I don't believe that's possible in the situation that we're in, considering the way it's always worked. The information available to me makes me think, if every day if one day at 4 o'clock exactly, the doorbell rings, and I open the door and somebody just boom punches me in the nose and runs off. The next day, if the doorbell rings at any point throughout the day, but especially if the doorbell rings at 4 o'clock, I'm not just going to go open the door and let myself get punched in the face again. It's only going to take that one time before I'm even. And actually, to tell you the truth, I'm such a cautious person that I'm not going to open the door regardless. I'm going to look and see who it is, and if I know them, and you know, that's just how cautious I am. But I'm not going to let you do the same thing to me 2, 3, 5, 10 times, and I'm, oh, let me just open that door again. Wow, damn it, they got me. And I don't think any of you are that stupid. I think everyone would when you see the pattern, you learn from it. Craig, what's up, Craig? If you were just some hole putting rubber bands on a watermelon, you would get 5,000 views. It's true. If I was just some a-hole. Gotcha.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. Get her down.
I mean, think about it. But it's not even that. Like, if I was some other truther, if I was some truther talking about Epstein, talking about Weinstein, talking about Larry Summers, talking about Trump, talking about any of it, there's a good chance I'd be allowed to do it as long as I told you at the end, or if I had my big cross hanging out. If I was, blending things with, because Jesus is great, and it's a war on our Christianity, and you know, it's not even just the dumbass stuff. I don't know how many years it was ago, but I called the original album Conspiracy Theory Sells, because it does. Because I was watching as lots of people, lots of Alex Joneses and all sorts of other people are making this great living selling conspiracy theory. And it's because the cookie cutter, bread and butter uh, illusion that they gave us, that even to this bullshit, this good times bullshit, it worked for a time, but it just can't work anymore. There's just all the pieces have come into place, and the internet was probably the worst thing they could have done, which is let us all connect with each other and realize that there's more information than what's available. Realize that there are other people out there asking the same questions we are. But this is such a strange feeling. I have such a strange feeling. I so badly want to be like the rest of you. Like my dream since I was a little. Why can't I just some guy named Mike with hair that's straight so I could get a spiked haircut, and I look like everybody else, and I think like everybody else, and I'm accepted, and you know. I mean, I'm an artist. Artists are always looking for love. Wookin' Penub in all the wrong places. Wookin' Penub. And to think like because of because of my dysfunction, which is which is evident in so many aspects of my life, especially my past, and if you know my family and all that stuff.
Since you gave me fries, I can't eat this other burrito. You guys want it? I don't. I'll leave it right here. Put it on the kitchen counter.
But because like I it's so weird for somebody that so badly wants love and acceptance. Why don't I just make music that caters to what everybody wants to hear? If I just made pro Jesus songs, I wouldn't have to even change my style. People would love it. I would be, it would be very, very well accepted. because it's got that hip hop flair, but it's soft enough that your average old white person could still listen and not feel upset by it. You know? But instead, I end up making what I believe to be great music, but it's controversial, so I don't get that. You know, I put myself in scenarios with people who, you know, I think the world of them, and I'm like, come on, we can do this. We can, you know, come on, let's make some more music. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's come on, let's try. And it's like, nah. And I'm constantly putting like, instead of finding the thing that I need, I found the opposite of what I need. And it's you know, it matches my situation with all of this, because it's how I feel with all of this. You know, I believe at the end of the day, like, hey, let's make it better. Like, obviously, shit's really difficult and it's getting a lot worse. You know, JJ was happy to get a job where he made $10 for a night. And really, he, you know, $10 a night, that would have been, you know, a few gallons of gas, pack of cigarettes, some food, some this, some that. You could have gotten by $10 a night back then. Not well, but still. And I just think, like, obviously everything is getting really bad. So why aren't we acknowledging what's wrong and then doing what it takes to fix what's wrong? Whether you like it or not, whether it you know, you mistakenly believe one thing or another, that doesn't matter. Like, okay, let's go from here. Like, okay, you were duped, but let's go from here. Does let me ask you this: does believing in the thing, does believing in your Jesus tangibly make things better from here on out? Like, what? How does that? What's the benefit to believing in Jesus? Can anybody tell me? If you say it's peace of mind and all that shit, you know, again, that's just the way that you look at it. It, it has nothing to do, like, if you really start to think about it, what you believe is that more than likely you're going to go to hell for all of eternity. So I don't know what kind of peace of mind that gives you, but let's be realistic. You haven't been a saint. And so instead of continuing to believe this negative control scheme, you know what? Come on, let's go. Like, I don't even understand where the opposition would be. Look, even if you believe in God, like, if anything, what I'm saying would appease God, right? Like, wouldn't God want you to make life better for everyone? Wouldn't God want you to fix the problems? Not rely on God to come fix it for you because you prayed and you tithed? Isn't that what God would want? I don't know. I'm so desperate to find understanding because I can't just be stupid. And I'm hoping somebody can give me enough understanding where I can be stupid, which is a weird thing to say, but, you know, well, all those children being starved to death by God's chosen people must all be part of God's plan. Oh, well, I'm not even good. Like, I wouldn't even be thinking about that unless somebody brought it up to me, right? You guys don't even think about that shit unless somebody points it out to you. Like, it's just, you know, it's so irritatingly stupid. Like, it would be one thing if there was like tangible shit to point to, and I had to be like, oh, well, you know what? That is a good point. You do make a good point with that. Well, there is that thing. So how do you, like, that would be one thing. But there's literally nothing. God does nothing and fixes nothing because he is all powerful. Was it supposed to be all powerful as a joke? I'm not sure. I mean, it's like George Carlin says, you know, all knowing, all powerful God will send you to burn in hell for all of eternity, suffering, blistering, awful, awful hell if you don't follow his list of rules, but he loves you. Matt, what's up, dude? Guys, if you're watching, please share this. Please. Look at how they're fucking censoring me. Like, it doesn't even show the accurate number of people watching. That's how fucking crazy this is. Take 2 seconds, click share it on Facebook, share it somewhere where other people can have an opportunity to join the conversation. And really, like, fuck, man, if you know of like some Christian group where actually people are knowledgeable, scholarly, and they can actually tell me something that makes some sort of sense, I so badly want to believe it. I so badly just want to shut the fuck off and, you know, oh man, I better get out there and vote this year because it's voting matters. Like, I want to be that guy. Oh, wait, hey, we can't eat yet. Everybody bow your heads. Thank you, God, for this food we bought and paid for and prepared and, you know, suffered. You did nothing for. Thank you, God. Thank you, God, for not making me and my family Palestinian and having to deal with bombs being dropped. Like, I just couldn't even. There's literally no way I could do it without reality always creeping in and fucking things up. I mean, so weird, man. It's so weird when you have like a Google Earth sort of super reality moment where you just like, you know, I'm in this little house in Redford, Michigan, bitching about, you know, what's going on, and there's literally a genocide happening, and there are literally billionaires, you know, doing horrendous things to children as we speak, like right now, and there are people skydiving, and there are people, you know, just doing all kinds of shit, oblivious to what's going on, and there are people that are super successful, and there are people that are in the streets, and they're like, God, it's so weird. Like, what is this even about? Why are we? Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. This is really what it's for? A handful of people make a mark in this world, and the rest of us are just here to, you know, work and fucking die, breed. You know, that just sounds awful. And you know that I realize, like, at some point, like, I do realize that how I view things, what I want, is not common. Most people don't want it. Most people don't want that kind of, you know, scrutiny and spotlight on everything they do and whatnot. And I just, you know, my dumbass, instead of assembling a team around me that all want the same thing, my team is like, nah, what you want is stupid. So I end up fighting against the system outside my house and inside the house. It's so fucking irritating. Why would a God put me here just to be forgotten once I'm gone? Yeah, it's so fucked up, isn't it? That's so fucked up. I want to make a mark. And I don't want to make a mark because I, was the dumbass who ate the hottest chip enough times, or I'm shoe nice and I'm drinking fucking entire fifths in one gulp because, hey, that's fucking smart. Right? Like, I want intellectually to have made a difference because, fuck, man, it's fucked up. Like, what part about the narrative even makes sense to you anymore? To me, every goddamn aspect of things is so ass backwards, I can't even. I feel uncomfortable. Maybe it's just that I'm actually going crazy and I just don't realize it. Maybe that's what it is. And I would actually entertain that idea a lot more if I was sitting here telling you about maybe the lizard people. Or I was talking about God told me to do this or God told me to do that. But at the end of the day, it's like I live my life by I want to live my life by the principle of, okay, I'll lay my cards on the table, you lay your cards on the table. If your shit makes more sense, then let's do your thing. If my shit makes more sense, then let's do my thing. Don't let some weird, you know, dysfunctional fucking mommy daddy bullshit, whatever it may be in the way of what's best. Let's just make what's best happen. Oh yeah, well your mommy and daddy were part of this cult or that cult, so that means you have to continue these cult traditions even though they're so bad you don't willingly practice them. The funny thing is like, isn't it interesting how every single one of the Dan Blazarians and Nick Fuenteses and Ian Carroll's, all the Christian truther leader guys allowed to say stuff about Israel and stuff. Isn't it funny how every single one of them is Christian and doesn't at all bring up the whole Tartaria stuff? Like my wife is real big skeptical, like Tartaria shit doesn't matter, blah 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 blah, all kinds of stuff, right? But the reality is, it's it's pretty much undeniable. When you start looking into the history that they give you about the Brooklyn Bridge, the Erie Canal, the architecture literally everywhere, the canal systems, the pyramids, the any of it, it the cathedrals, the churches, the just the palaces all over the place. you know, all of this. It's just the star forts, the star forts, the star forts, the star forts. Like, at what point do you start to go, we don't know how we did that is not an acceptable answer? How many pots have I smoked? 7. I mean, just think about it. Do you honestly believe they built the 400 story, or the is it 400 stories? No, it's, can't remember how many stories right now. Empire State Building in just under 400 days in 1931. Are you serious? You believe that? Do you believe that they seriously built the Pentagon? How many of you have actually seen the Pentagon? I get called crazy every day for believing in flat Earth. Isn't it strange how people respond to you in this really aggressive, negative way? Like, everybody acts as though they work for roundearth.com, and if too many people start questioning it, they're going to lose their job or some shit. Isn't it weird how everybody, like, it's like this weird, aggressive, negative program that as soon as you question things that are, I guess you're not supposed to. I don't know. It's weird. And like you say, the world fairs. I mean, look at it. How does anybody look at the pictures of the world's fairs and just go, yeah, 1800s did that in just a couple of years, whether it's fake or not? Obviously, this notion that they were built as temporary structures, though some of the buildings were meant to last forever, but they were all temporary even if they were all temporary structures to be built in the time frame that they're said to have been built in, to dig everything they need to dig, to fill all the water, the channels, all, it's just not feasible. They like to think that they have a good grip on things. But for what? I mean, I don't understand the benefit. I guess it's just more and more arrogance coming down the pipe. But, you know, what's so uncomfortable about saying we don't know? And even then, it's not even saying I don't know. I'm just saying we've been lied to. And like, again, I don't care who you are. If you go down to the oldest, you go down to the major city in wherever you live, Detroit, Chicago, whatever, and you go find some of those old world buildings and you learn the history of those buildings, you're not, even if you don't even learn the history, if you just go to some of those old school skyscrapers and you just hear this was built in 1914, you're not going to believe it. You go look at the churches, the big churches that are in every single city that happen to sit above catacombs. And you look at it and you just go, this was built in the 1700s, 1800s, what? It doesn't make any sense. His story. Who's the his? But it's strange how there are even so many people that are in this boat where they're like, yeah, fuck yeah, Tartaria all the way. There had to be resets, this, that, and the other. By the way, Jesus is the answer. And you just go, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? You're saying that you accept the idea that there was some sort of reset. Late 17s, early 18s, maybe even late 18s for all we know. And you're saying that everything was reset. And yet you still think somehow the Christian narrative from 2,000 years ago seeped through and is not some sort of manipulation along with everything else? Like, I'm telling you, I'm you know, it's bugging me, this existential crisis kind of shit. I absolutely know I should stop doing what I'm doing. Earth is only 6,000, 7,000 years old. Oh, who fucking knows? I don't care. Until the Goyim unite and overthrow the friars in charge of everything, I'm not going to sit here and argue any sort of historical shit to be, categorical. That's true. That's 100% true. Yeah, well, I know this without a shadow of a doubt. I have no fucking idea. I have no idea. Damn near everything I think I know, I have no idea. It's just other people telling me one thing or another. The way I see it, it's better to believe and it not be true than to not believe in it and end up being true. So how do you arrogantly choose which contradicting thing you choose to believe in just in case? Like, you decide that, well, I might as well be a Christian and believe in Christianity, and hopefully, when I die, I don't go to hell for it. But what if Islam is correct? What if at the end of the day Scientology is the correct one? You didn't believe in that one just in case. Yeah, that's a weird way to put it, man. I know that I've had people that are Christians say that to me in the past, but those weren't people who saw the other stuff. But I guess, is that's what you're saying? Is you just believe in Christianity as the just in case? Is that your fallback? And do you not understand? Like, there's a lot of harm that comes in belief any way any which way. If we believe in God, we believe in anything. Absolutely. If they can convince you of God, they can convince you of anything. That's where you're wrong. I believe in Jesus, but I don't call myself a Christian just to try. Do you know what a Christian is? Can you explain to them what a Christian is?
An idiot?
No, like for real.
Oh.
Well, for fake?
Somebody that believes that Jesus Christ is God's child, our Messiah and Savior, and died for our sins.
So you're a big believer in Jesus, right? Then you're a Christian. And the thing is, not only are you an arrogant Christian because you believe in Jesus with no evidence, you're an even more arrogant version because you say, I don't believe in what the people who gave me the narrative say. I believe in my own version of it. Like, that's an incredible arrogance. Are you? That's awesome. Good for you, man. Do you not, like, how do you not see the arrogance in what you're saying? He forgives us for our lack of knowledge. The battle has been won. The price has been paid. Holy simply. What are you talking about? What are you? Oh, so the only thing he asks is that you believe in the dumb narrative. Because if you don't just believe in it, there's nothing to prove it to you. Is that what you're saying? And again, what makes you think that one is the right one? Why is the Jesus narrative correct and the other ones are wrong? Like, how did you debunk Islam? How did you debunk Judaism? How did you debunk Presbyterians and Lutherans and Mormons and Jehovah's? How did you debunk all of those other ones? Then you got to Christianity and you were like, well, this just makes sense. We make our own version of Jesus to suit us. Look at this. Look at now the Christian is going to try to like attack because they can't go any further. It's called faith. So you're saying it's arrogance. You're acknowledging that it's arrogance. You have faith that your arrogant perspective is the correct one, and you have literally nothing concrete to base this on. Asking you for some evidence and some reasoning as to why you believe what you believe is too much for you. Whatever, huh? Yeah. You're saying he doesn't exist. That's arrogant as it gets. Is it? I'm saying that a Jewish fairy tale isn't real because I actually know it instead of the incredible ignorance that you have regarding the subject. Exactly. These people will go to church on Christmas or family mass. A typical Christian literally only goes to church around 6 times a year to watch a couple of YouTube videos, and they think they know everything. Oh, it's insane. Look at the arrogance. It's not my job. You must go on your own journey. Oh, there we go. A minute ago, he's preaching to everyone about the earth is this and it's this and it's that. But as soon as you start actually questioning him, he falls apart. Oh, it's not my job to tell you stuff. It's not my job. I just pick and choose. It's goofy, man. This is the typical Christian, and it's so, like, to me, the fact that this is the best you can do. If this was the best I could do when somebody was questioning me about my beliefs, I would be embarrassed. I would try to believe something else. You know, if what I believed in left me this unprepared for simple discussion, like that has to be such an empty, weird feeling, and maybe that's why they respond so aggressively, because they know it's bullshit, and you're supposed to have faith in the same bullshit I have faith in, and when you don't, that shows people, like, that points it out to them. I guess I don't know. Yeah, I only don't know because none of them can ever even have a reasonably intelligent, respectful conversation. They always just start crying and crying, and it's just ridiculous. I'm sorry your thing is so flimsy, but maybe you should believe in a new thing. Your thing is trash. It really is trash. And then, especially since, you don't know anything about its origins and stuff, but when you start to learn about the origins and you realize, like, it really is all just Jewish fairy tale nonsense. It's not real. Every character in the Bible, all the main characters, especially Jesus, are Jewish. They refer to the Goyim, to the Gentiles, a few different times, but it's always those Gentiles. The opposition is the Gentiles. It's not like us Gentiles. They never say that. And when you realize, like, this is a them fairy tale. This isn't a you fairy tale, but you still choose to believe it. Like, what kind of just weirdo shit is that? What is the use of even going or even identifying as one? People really got to look into philosophy and psychology. And at the same time, this is like my existential crisis, right? Because I wish I was just that dumb. I wish I could just be like, no, it's right. And God is looking. I'm gonna get off of here, and I'm gonna pray that God gives me favor, and then God give me favor. I'm not even gonna bring up the Palestinians. Nope. Like, it's just weird as shit. And you see it. You see it in this conversation, like you see it in every single one. Every single time the Christians come through here and actually seemingly have, you know, they sort of get into it a little bit, it doesn't take long before they run away. They always run away. And it's just so strange. Like, again, why would you ever want to associate with something, believe in something, identify as something that makes you such a coward, that makes you such an ignorant, arrogant, foolish coward? By design, that's what it's supposed to do. That's strange to me. You ask me why I support something, why I believe in something. Well, I just do, okay? I have faith in it, okay? I have faith that the sky is made out of spaghetti. I just believe it. That's what I do. Spaghetti sky. There's no, I don't have any evidence for it. I don't have any reasoning for it. As a matter of fact, sir, I do not appreciate you asking me why I believe the sky is made of spaghetti. You just need to respect my beliefs. How dare you? I'm not here to tell you about your journey. You need to find the spaghetti sky yourself. I don't know what it is, but I feel like, especially nowadays after COVID, even politically, if you see people are just overall becoming ignorant, not dumb, but people are just watching all these. I don't know. I don't know how much of it is new as opposed to just more access as we go through the years. You know, the access that we have to each other is more and more and more. So I definitely don't think people are necessarily getting dumb. Well, no, because the schools are definitely making the kids dumber. What this generation is learning in school is embarrassingly stupid, and these phones are making people dumber, no doubt. Especially if you spend your time playing dumb games and like it has the opportunity to make you much smarter if you want it to. But most people just want to play games and look at feet and shit. 1 minute YouTube videos, getting little bits of information they forget, and a little. It's crazy. People are really be coming out of touch with information and it's creating that very very short attention span, right? Like if you can't convey everything in 30 seconds, they're gonna swipe because that's just that's what they've been bred to think. I think it's also a tactic for the government to make people more controllable back in even really early days. Yeah, there's never been a time like people like to talk about that the government was taken over. The government's never been taken over. The only time the government could be taken over is if we do it. But the government is working the way it always has, always, will. It works, and they've always been in control. They might have hid their control more back in the day, changing names, getting nose jobs and shit like that. I mean, think about it. We all know, like old school Hollywood, it's sort of like this thing. Well, the friars had to hide their identities. Well, who were the friars hiding their identities from? The friars controlled Hollywood. Like, absolutely, without even competition, the friars ran the fucking show. And because there wasn't any sort of PC stuff to, you know, make it so there were Goyim studios and shit in competition, they ran it with an iron fucking fist. They were the ones that didn't want black people in their films, so they made white people put on blackface or real Indians, Native Americans, so they would make them put on brown face. That was them. And when you you have to identify it all for what it is, and the government is just the news is just East Coast Hollywood. It's all one big show, and this is where it gets weird for me because you know my whole thing is to keep asking why until you can't ask why anymore. And I tend to lean towards the idea that we are just a reality TV show for a much greater, more advanced version than ourselves. And that the resets of the past all come when the people figure it out and we no longer have conflict in our world. Like if you look at the old pictures of the world and you look at all the buildings and the structures and all that shit, those people weren't in competition. They were building the same kinds of buildings all over the world. Same style, same everything, same materials, same everything. So clearly everyone was working together and everyone was in harmony together. And that's a boring ass show. Nobody watches anything that lacks conflict. Conflict is the backbone of all entertainment. And so in order to keep our show running, they have to keep us in a constant state of conflict. They can't allow another utopian society because we get boring and they reset us. To me, as far fetched as that may sound to some, to me that answers all the questions. That makes more sense to me than anything else. Religious, no, I mean religious wise, creating the Bible and all these things to make people more meek. Yeah, but I don't think, I don't think the narrative that we have for how any of it was created or whatever is accurate. And even though the narrative that we do get is manufactured, it still paints a picture if you read between the lines. But this whole George Washington and Ben Franklin and all these characters that they give us from the past, I don't buy it. Napoleon and his 300,000 troops, I just don't buy it. Do you understand the logistics? No, you don't understand, actually. You can't even comprehend the logistics of 300,000 troops marching from one place to another back in the 1800s and shit. The infrastructure wasn't there. So they weren't marching on, paved roads and all that. But how do you feed 300,000 troops daily while they're marching? So they have to have, extra calories to burn, carrying a bunch of shit. You have to start questioning the legitimacy of the entire narrative. Same thing with every Civil War story, or just about every story in general. It goes back to why we celebrate Hanukkah, why they celebrate Hanukkah. We're forced to acknowledge Hanukkah. Hanukkah being the celebration of the Maccabees, the Maccabee Revolution, which is a revolution that was, motivated by circumcision. And you get this narrative of friars going around the countryside to all the different friar houses, because apparently they knew where all of them lived back in the day, and forcing them to circumcise themselves and any boys that they may have, and then join the group that's going to go around and get other people, and then eventually become a militia group or whatever that can attack the superpower of the day to try to get the rights to be able to circumcise again. It's impossibly stupid. But just to think about, and if you weren't going to circumcise, if you're a friar that didn't want to circumcise, they killed you. But to think that this ever-growing mob of friars traveled the countryside recruiting more and more. How? Just think about how ridiculous that is. And this you apply this to literally anything. Anything. Any of the 1900s fucking narratives, and even then, you just have no idea what narratives are true. He's talking about Pearl Harbor and how the accepted narrative at this point is that the government absolutely knew it was going to happen and let it happen. Johnson knew it was going to happen and let it happen. Was it Johnson? No, it was Roosevelt. Sorry, Roosevelt. Roosevelt knew it was going to happen, let it happen. They had broke the code and all this other bullshit. And we don't even fucking know. God, it's so frustrating. Oh, I'm having such a hard time. I'm losing it. And I should be riding high because even if it doesn't include me, at least the partial problem. But I don't, because I believe it to be so fucking manufactured and manipulated. I don't think it's going to work out the best way it can. Because at the end of the day, they're still in charge and they're still manipulating and they're still using their provocateurs and paid fucking shills $8,000 a month to push these narratives. All the questions the Epstein files always being put out with none of the real information we need. It's crazy. Trump with Mondani today dodging all these questions. Dude is weird. Well, you did see Mondani saying that if a war criminal were to land at JFK, that they would be arrested immediately and taken to the ICC, which is a thinly veiled threat at Netanyahu, but I doubt that would happen. I doubt the president of the United States would allow that to happen. I've seen, I don't care, I've ever seen anybody smoke someone and the president. This is a second blunt in an hour. I think you just exaggerate shit because that works for you, I guess. I don't even know, but what's so dumb? It's so dumb. I put the roach of the other blunt into the bowl, but it's not nearly as much as you want to make it out to be. You guys know that before I do my what ends up being between 2 and 3 hour videos, I have 3 blunts. 3. Just, get my wife's roaches. And usually I give my wife one of them. Morning was 5 bowl packs too. I love how you're keeping track of what I'm doing, especially again considering the roaches go into the bowls. You absolute fucking doofus. Right? Like, can you imagine somebody caring that much about what I do? That they're keeping track of shit? By the way, this is my pain medication. Because contrary to popular belief, I live a life in pain. But hey, making that up too. Look at how fucking goofy it is. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Smoking. Oh, carts. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that at all. I have no idea what the fuck is in those things. I know in 2018, before we were all supposed to be scared by COVID, popcorn lung was this thing that was going around because for some reason everyone just decided to start putting vitamin E oil into the carts as like the carrier oil, knowing it's really, but apparently it just like for no explainable reason or anything, it just sort of happened. And you had this friar looking kid here in Michigan who apparently had a double lung transplant because of popcorn lung. He bypassed all of the other people waiting in line for lung transplants at the University of Michigan. Something about him said, hey, we should bypass everyone else. And he was given a double lung transplant. Now, shortly thereafter, they had to come back on, her and the kid, the mom and the kid, and they said, oh, I know there's been a lot of people out there that have thought they saw my son still out there doing whatever he wanted, vaping and still vaping and out there, doing active stuff when he was supposed to be getting a lung transplant. But that was actually his twin brother. And his twin brother didn't want to come to the show today.
Dump it on the bed.
His twin brother didn't want to come on a show day, but he has a twin brother. You better believe he has a twin brother. It was fucking stupid. Like it was it was you guys have forgotten about these things. But literally everything that COVID was supposed to do, popcorn lung also did.
And now they're saying that people that had COVID now have these microclots running through their bloodstream.
That's absolutely has to do with the vaccines. It's been shown that the vaccines cause clotting.
Well, they're saying the COVID virus. They're now starting to see it.
Yeah, well, it's been, we're coming up on that 5-year lawsuit point. When I was in the 8th grade, this kid tried to bully me, and he beat me up real bad. He used it for extreme anxiety. That sucks. I'm real sorry about that. It's disgusting how people can do shit like that to each other. And what sucks even more is that kid was probably abused like you wouldn't believe at home, which is why he was the bully at school. More than likely, he was not just physically abused by his father or whatever the situation was. I got it made when I was 17. To take 2 of them, I would never took them if I was 18. Oh, I got made to take when you were 17. Oh, dude. Oh, that sucks. Look, we have a pedo in our midst. Hello, pedo. Dumb. That that kind of shit that's so crazy to me. You don't think about that. I've never even given that thought since then. But what about the kids that were 16, 17, and probably actually did more research than their parents did, but because they were under the control of their parents, they were forced into taking these shots. Like, I just think about it now, like how I don't even want to talk about it. Knowing you're on here, like, I feel bad. I don't want to say anything, but like if I had any of those shots, I'd be really scared. I'd be really fucking scared. Because it just seems like there is... I'd just be really scared, that's all. There's a popular meme that's gone around that says, no one regrets not taking it. No one. You'll never run into somebody that's like, man, I sure wish I would have taken that shit, especially after everything that's come out since. It's just crazy. No, it's alright, man. I'm pissed about it because, dude, I don't know what, I had a fucking well on my arm for 6 months. Jesus.
We had a friend that had the 2 different kinds of shots when she wasn't supposed to.
So what happened was she was supposed to get the 2-dose version of it.
Of the Pfizer
and
one. And
she went and got one, and then when she went back to get the 2nd dose, they gave her a Moderna shot instead.
Accidentally went, oops.
Oops, we didn't know we did this. Sorry. It's too late. It's in your system.
And honestly, like, shortly thereafter,
she went off the deep end.
And now she's doing a bunch of drugs and
Like she was a mom of 3 kids. She wasn't she wasn't the best mom. She was young and she was dumb and she came from bad. She was a very doting mother, and she was a.
is a very doting mother.
I can't say that she is. I don't know that she is.
Well, no, she is. I mean, I still stay in contact with her.
Yeah, but you don't. You have no idea. People manufacture the reality. Unless you're actually in there and you see it, you don't know what's going on. But they were actually, close to us for a little bit. And yeah, shortly after the shots, she started getting one too, didn't he?
No. No, he was going to. He was mad at her for doing it. She did it behind his back, remember?
But I think he got one too.
No, I don't think he did.
I think he did. Either way, they both went off the fucking deep end. Thaddeus!
Yeah, he's a fucking cokehead.
I'm not LOL. 5 years later, I haven't seen much to make me worry. Some circumstantial stuff, but nothing definitive. I know tons of people have had 10 shots and they're all still alive and healthy. Yeah, well.
Hopefully.
Hopefully. I mean, it has only been, 3, 4 years in some cases.
Shit, some people are still getting the update every year.
Right. But if you're saying you haven't seen anything to worry about, I guess because you're not paying attention to stuff you don't want to. And, that's not...
on that you can't see.
That's not... Well,
like
it's Thaddeus.
Microclotting in your blood or
right.
some shit.
And it's Thaddeus, so you know how he is when it comes to
Thaddeus, you don't know, honey,
opinions.
You have been undergoing other treatments too, like the Ozempic and stuff. At this point, you don't know what side effects going to be from what.
No, I again, I think when it comes to
nasty side effects,
like when it comes to the shots, again, there was you can find it on YouTube. Literally, some doctors through and looked at what these shots did to blood, and they were creating these crazy, weird clots. And there's been lots of stuff to show you that wasn't a good idea. There have been lots of people. The weird breaks, for sure, but there have been lots of keelovers. And hopefully you're not associated with it. That's, they're not always going to be that. But man, there has been a lot of shit. There has been a lot of shit. Two neighbors, died afterwards. Yeah, that's...
Well, see, and the fucked up part is, this is the fucked up part. So, COVID from a heart attack.
You gotta watch how you say it.
They died of COVID. But if they died from the jab, oh no, they had a heart attack.
Well, see,
it was something else.
The thing that we talked about this the other day, the thing that they tried to say, I remember the report. I was shocked when I saw it. But they were saying that heart attacks, strokes, and appendicitis were down 40 to 60% that year. And they were saying that it's because, normally anytime people have any sort of angina or whatever, they run to the hospital. And because of COVID, people weren't going to the hospital, and or people were toughing things out. And as you can, people have mini strokes all the time and don't realize it. People have mini heart attacks all the time and don't realize it. People have mild infarctions and whatnot, and but it's a little more serious. Strokes do require a little bit more intervention, but at the end of the day, nobody is toughing out appendicitis. Like, literally, not even 0.01% of the people that end up with appendicitis are toughing it out. There's no anomalies. There's no, weird cases, nothing. If you get appendicitis,
appendix bursts,
Yeah, if your appendix starts to go,
you will die.
and then if it starts to go, it's not gonna stop going. It's just gonna go. It might take a few days, a week, who knows. But then when it does rupture, it's like a poison pack in your body, and it kills you relatively quickly. But it's 100%.
Fatal.
100%. Nobody gets appendicitis, doesn't get it treated, and survives. Oh yeah, I just pooped it out. It was a rough week. I was in a lot of pain, but then I just had a big poop and looked in there. Appendicitis was in there. My appendix was in there, and
You go septic and die.
flushed it. Yeah, you die. You just die.
You can't release all that toxin into your system and not die from it.
So when they said that shit, and the thing was, a certain amount of people on average die. The same amount of people died. They just said that heart attacks, strokes, appendicitis were down 40 to 60%, which is the amount of people that supposedly died from COVID. It still worked out to be the same amount of people that died that year. I literally so I got my knee worked on, and the doctor was a friar. He was a douche. Let me see these comments. I lost like 6 friends this year in their late 20s. That's crazy. Hospital for 3 months. I'm sorry to hear that. How much? Sir? So I had my knee worked on, and the doctor was a friar and a douche. The the comeback appointment, he pawned me off to this first year Arabic girl who was really like awesome. She was amazing. I think if I wasn't married, and I think there was a connection between her and I. But we started talking, and mind you, this is in early 2020 when this happened. So COVID kicking real hard, right? And so I was talking to her, and we were talking about how silly masks were, and I can't believe this is happening, and blah blah blah. And she was saying that she was working where she was now, but prior to, she had been working in the ER, and she had to get out of there because she saw the more experienced prior doctors in the ER marking people dead from COVID who hadn't been tested or anything like that. I had a doctor telling me this at a doctor's appointment. This is some secondhand story. This guy said he was at a doctor's appointment. No, this happened to me. The one thing I do question is how many young people dying of heart attacks, but so far not sure that's because poor diets, a lack of. No, you do know what it is. You just don't want to see it. We are the healthiest. We have the most opportunity, the most health care, the most advancements. There's never been a time where young people just died like fucking crazy. That's terrifying. And if the thing is, because we're not like normal, because if it was normal, we'd say, okay, you know what? Let's put a bunch of money into figuring out whether this has anything to do with these shots. And we would rule it out. If it wasn't a thing, we would rule it out. It's like the October 7th false flag attack, right? The one where no Israelis were killed or taken hostage, but then they've used that to justify genocide for 2 years. You know I'm right when I tell you that. Although that's crazy. Why would you say that? Blah 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 blah. Let me ask you this: what investigation have you seen into October 7th? Anything? Again, this is one of those things that I tell you I personally did. This is not a secondhand story. On November 7th, 2023, I decided to, I had a hunch. I had a hunch because I've experienced it before. And I went to Wikipedia and I went to the edit. I went to the 2023 Israel Hamas war official Wikipedia page. And back then, you can't do it anymore. You couldn't do it shortly thereafter. I did this and exposed it on my feed, but I'm sure it's just coincidence. I went to the page. I went to edit history. I clicked back until I got to the first edit. I don't know if that's when the page is actually created, but I know the first edit for that page was made at 6:22 a.m. October 7th, 2023, local time. The thing is, the supposed surprise attack that nobody knew about and took Israel completely by surprise didn't start until 6:30 a.m. local time, October 7th, 2023. Meaning, somebody made the first edit to that page 8 minutes before the event happened. And then if you were to read the edit history over the next 3 hours, because I read from 6:30 until like 9:30, the different edit history, you'd see there was like 5 people there that were each had a specific job. One would lay the story out, one would spell check it, one would check the placement and the narrative and the fitting things together. It was very much like an operation. And I clicked edit. I wanted to see what it would take to edit it. And this was before my access to Wikipedia was blocked in my region for some unknown reason. But it said that I had to be approved by a group. I had to have like 60 or 80 proven edits beforehand that had to be reviewed by one group. And if I was approved by the one group, then I would have to go under review by another group. And if that secondary group approved me, then I would be able to edit on that particular page. Of course, that's all gone. That's all completely gone. Can't do any of that. Can't even check that stuff anymore. But I watched as they laid out the next few days' events in that first 3 hours. They claimed immediately that they killed 1,500 Hamas almost immediately in response to what had happened. So when they claim that around 1,100 people in Israel were killed, well, they're not lying. Hamas it for 20 minutes straight. And of course, it all happened so fast that there's no footage of it. But they not only had 20,000 rockets to launch 4 per second for 20 minutes, they also had the rocket launchers to be able to facilitate that attack. I saw a documentary where soldiers were told to stand down. Netanyahu wanted the attack. Yeah, we've all seen that. But I'm asking you for proof of what they claim. There was no real attack. It was all orchestrated bullshit. The footage you see, you'll never see any footage of any sort of actual something. Like there's one famous shot of 3 supposedly Hamas soldiers standing outside of one of the random storage containers that are supposedly like bomb shelters for Israelis. And supposedly a whole bunch of Israelis had packed into this bomb shelter, and the 3 Hamas were on the outside. Well, 2 were by the door, and then 1 was standing there filming it from the side. And they show the one guy supposedly pull the pin on a grenade and throw it in there, and then they both run, and then the footage stops. So you don't actually see anything that happened. You just see what looks like it could be something if you were told that's what's happening. But there's no proof that. Go look again at the people supposedly fleeing the music festival who are getting out of their cars to run across an open field. They could drive away, but instead they're getting out of their cars, their metal cars that can go 90 miles an hour, so they can go run out across an open field. What sense does that make? I guess my friend was lied to when his family, friends since childhood had someone killed in their family. All those people lying about dead relatives. Yeah, does it ever occur to you that, okay, so I was talking about this the other day with my wife. Like, people will say things like, "Are you calling me a liar?" Like, yeah, dude, you lied. People lie all the fucking time. It's not far-fetched to call people liars or to say that someone is lying about something. But especially when it comes to them, yeah, they lie a lot, especially to us. And it only comes down to your arrogance that you believe that they wouldn't lie to you. Do you know who I am? They would never lie to me. You know, they would never lie to the diaspora over here and pushing a narrative one way or another. There's literally no proof of it. And I'm sorry, when it comes to this particular group and everything that's happening, I don't take their word for it. and I think that's fair. You know, I think I should be able to say, hey, you know what? I don't necessarily believe you. And being from that side of things, you should say, yeah, you know what? If I was you, I wouldn't either. Here's some proof. If you're telling the truth, you shouldn't have a problem with people questioning you. I know for me, I believe I'm telling the truth and it goes against every narrative we're given. Do I ever get mad at people for questioning me? I expect you to question me. And I have nothing but a clean track record of telling the truth and, you know, not being wrong. But still, this is how it works. Their entire belief structure is based on a lie, on lies. They walk around talking about God's chosen people. This is a lie. Do you understand that without Exodus, you can't have the narrative? That Judaism can't exist without Exodus. And according to every single scholar that's ever existed, every single historian, every single anyone that's outside of their circle, Exodus is impossible. It's not only impossible, it's like a ridiculous, insulting level, you know. It's a ridiculous, insulting level narrative. And the thing is, most of you have heard of it, but you don't know of it. You have maybe some like Charlton Heston type bullshit in your head, but you don't actually know what it says. And it's fucking ridiculous. 2 million people, 2 million friars walked around the desert for 40 fucking years with nothing to eat or drink but manna, the magic substance that grew on the ground every morning and had to be harvested every morning because it only lasted 24 hours, except when it was Sabbath manna, which then it would last 48 hours because they weren't permitted to work on the Sabbath. Like, do you not like I'm not talking about, oh, I just don't like them because of their they got their face in their nose, and I don't talk about it like that. The problem too being most of you are too arrogant to admit that I know more about this than you do. And it's that arrogance that prevents us from moving forward. Because you want to pretend like you've done more than I have, and you haven't. You have no idea what the auto emancipation pamphlet is. Unless you've been on my feed, you have no idea what that shit is. You don't know about the Havara Agreement unless you've been on my feed. You don't know about Team Jorge. You don't know about Act.io. I provide you with receipts. You definitely don't know about Israel Hayom, Bottom of Darkness, which is the glue that holds it all together, that explains everything. You want to know why? You want to know how anyone can facilitate a genocide? How anyone can get in a bus knowing they're about to be taken to a place where these are another group of people's neighborhood, where all of their stuff is still in the house and all that in that neighborhood. And now the bus is going to pull up and you're going to run out of that bus and go try to claim one of their houses. None of us can comprehend that. None of us can. That makes sense. Just like none of us think, oh yeah, no, cut it, then you suck on it. Yeah, you just suck on it. None of us think like that. None of us think that's okay. None of us think that's acceptable in any sort of, well, it's a ritual, but none of us think that's okay. And you ask yourself, how do they? How do they continuously be the bad guys and then make themselves the victims? How are they so nasty and mean and supremacist? And most of us just can't, like there's that logistics element, that part where you just go like, I don't understand how anybody can be so awful, especially when you have such advantage. You have such good, you have such opportunity and you have so much more Semitism than anybody else. But when you look at Israel Hayom, Bottom of Darkness, Israel Hayom being Israel's #1 free weekly. It's a free propaganda page, but very pro them, pro Fryer, pro Israel, everything. It was Sheldon Adelson's baby. It was his pride and joy. Sheldon Adelson, the guy that Trump was just talking about, how Sheldon and his wife Miriam came to the White House more than anybody without appointments. They would just show up and tell him what to do. Remember how Trump just said that? She had $60 million in the bank. She had more loyalty to Israel than the United States. Remember, Trump said all that. Remember? It's just a couple weeks ago. Well, Israel Hayom was his absolute baby. It was his pride and joy. Because he could distribute a free weekly, propaganda thing, pro them thing to Israel, to his people. And he took that very seriously. And that article, the Bottom of Darkness article that is linked in the description, it's going to do everything it can to prevent you from reading it. Unlike any other Israel Hayom article, You can go to that page and read anything you want. No problem. This one article will keep kicking you out, keep making it real difficult for you to read it, but I suggest you do it anyway. Wow, that really sucks. Motorcycles are awful. There's no reason why motorcycles should exist. They are so incredibly dangerous. It's just fucking unreal, for real. But the Israel Hayom article is disgusting on so many levels, but to me, the worst element about it, the part that sticks out to me the most, is what the good guys have to say. Because, this is an article that is exposing the ritual sexual abuse that is everywhere, prominent everywhere in all sectors, all Hasidiotics and seculars and, all of them. They're all, the entire community is based on these religious practices of transcendence and redemption through ritualistic sexual abuse. It's really an awful thing. And the thing is, this Israel Hayom article is 100% them. There's no Guy Williams anywhere. There's no Goyim anywhere involved. Not from the website to the article itself, to the reporters, to the photographers, to the interviewers, to the interviewees. Every single person in that entire presentation is them. Not me, not us. And so the good guys, multiple times throughout the article, 3, 4, 5 times, remind you that this isn't, this happens in other countries too. This isn't just there. That's one thing. The second thing they do is say that the reason why the majority of these accusations, when brought to the police, are almost immediately closed without any sort of investigation whatsoever, is because the Israeli police just don't have the resources to be able to do proper investigations. That's two. The third thing being, to me, probably the most atrocious aspect of this entire article, completely unintentionally too. This is open up the books on Israel, demonize Israel kind of stupidity. But when the good guys are saying things like, the bad guys make the abuse so horrible that when the kids tell their parents, who more than likely have experienced this same abuse themselves, when they tell their parents what happened, the abuse is so bad that the parents don't believe the kids. Because somehow that makes sense. What's happening? Open-minded. And that's this article is full of actual detailed stories and different accounts and talking about the rabbi and the parents and the relatives and sticking the shofar in the kids, and it's just really, really an awful read. But when you read what the people that are supposed to be the good guys are saying, to me, that's the smoking gun right there. Nobody in their right mind says that the kids, that the abuse is so bad that the kids aren't believed. Nobody, that's not a reasonable thing to you. If somebody said that to you, man, my kid told me they were abused the other day, but it was so bad, I just didn't believe them. Yeah, they had all these marks on them, and they've been acting different and all that. So I was asking, like, what's wrong? And they were like, yeah, well, Dad, I was abused. And I was like, oh my God, really? What was it? Tell me what happened. Tell me how I can help. And then they told me this really horrific story about religious leaders and school professionals and a couple of family members and ritual shit and all this other stuff. And I was like, get out of here, you little lying motherfucker. Right? Isn't that how that works?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that how you guys would do it to your kids? You'd be like, man, fuck you, stop lying. That is the most atrocious thing I'm sorry, that's just, especially considering this is nothing new. This is something that's always been a part of that society, of that culture. So everybody knows about it. The parents already know that it's happening a lot, and it probably happened to at least one of them. Why wouldn't the parents believe them? Right. It's just not right. You know what I mean? It's like if I crack an egg into a bowl and I start beating the egg, I'm going to expect that the egg is going to mix together and then I'm going to be able to make scrambled eggs from it, right? If I did that and then I poured the egg from the bowl into the pan and it came out as like an egg still in a shell, I'd be like, what the fuck? Like, you know, that'd be weird. But if I pour it out and it comes out as scrambled eggs and I'm like, what the fuck? That wouldn't make any sense. Dude, you just scrambled the egg. Like, it's going to come out scrambled. That's what happens when you do that. This is just such an insane piece of the puzzle that was, I don't know. I can't imagine that they ever expect someone like me to stumble across an Israel Hayom article. What kind of American dumbass is reading an Israel Hayom article in April of 2025? They just, I don't know the purpose of the article. Maybe it was to like, I just don't know. And maybe it's just a flex. I don't know. But to me, this is such an eye opener, right? It's just so telling. This explains it. This is why, like, if you tell me that the reason why they can watch a genocide, that they can benefit from genocide, that they can do all these horrible things, that they can consistently be the ones raping not just children, but everyone in Hollywood, that the Epsteins of the world can exist. And you say, well, it's because when that person was a child, small child, for many years, they were viciously and violently, ritualistically sexually abused while being told that it's because they're the chosen one. And if it wasn't them, it would be their little brother or something like that. And then when they got to be 13 and they became a man themselves, they were then forced to do the same thing to other children as an act of redemption because they needed to be redeemed for, for all that wickedness that they had done when they were children. When you tell me that that's what happened to people, that these people were all victimized like that as children, it creates understanding. It doesn't necessarily breed sympathy. I mean, it does. But it actually it does, because how could they be any other way? Not only were they part of this ritualistic sexual abuse, but then they were also part of this insane propaganda brainwashing. We're the chosen and we're the best and everybody hates us because we're so good and all this, and you start to see it all come together. Hey, look, fat ass Kristen Mayfield's here, fucking pedo nasty bitch. Like, when you understand it I don't know. I don't even know what it does. I don't know what understanding it does. It creates a level of sympathy, I guess, that I then just wonder, like, it creates a solution. Because the solution is, if we stop this happening at the lowest levels, the next generations aren't going to be the genocidal psychopaths that they are now. Some psychotic and being an adult at 13 is ridiculous. Some psychotic being 13. These psychos definitely like to flex their power. For sure. Power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? This to me is the smoking gun. The way we fix the world's problems is by protecting the Jewish children. Isn't that crazy that at the end of the day, the solution that I've gotten to is to protect the children of the enemy? That is so fucking... It's hard to wrap your head around, man. But this seems to be what makes the most sense to me. And maybe if we protect them, they'll be less likely to be the monsters that are willing to go, no, we're better than you. I mean, how do you tell them that something is wrong? They say, do you know what I survived? Do you know what was done to me as a child? And then done to me as an adult? As a 13-year-old adult? That I had to survive through? You want to talk about you're hungry? You want to talk about, your land is being taken or something like that? Do you know what was done to me? I survived. Look at how great I am. I survived horrendous shit. Look what I've accomplished. Because everybody that's in those situations loves to overlook the fact that they were given the opportunities that they have. They didn't come from nothing. But this makes sense, and this is one of those things where I'm coming at the whole scenario with compassion. I'm not suggesting we kill anyone. I'm not suggesting, other than pedos. I'm not suggesting, anyone's, mistreated in any way. I'm just saying we need to stop this cycle. And the best place to break it is with the children. Let's break it. Let's see if I'm wrong, then go back to all the rape, I guess you want to, because it's not affecting things either way. So how you guys help me help the Jewish children, please? At the end of the day, that's my goal. I want to help the Jewish children. The International Fellowship of the Christians and the Jews, they're the Jewish Holocaust survivors, the forgotten Jews. I want to help the children. According to their own testament, it's a real big fucking issue. And to help me, guys. Children of the future, they need to be saved. Exactly. And why would anyone in their right fucking minds oppose what I'm saying? Who's gonna tell me, no, you're wrong. You're in the wrong here. How dare you say these things? How dare you read? How dare you suggest that we protect children? What's wrong with you? You're a bad person. Who says that? Who's gonna disagree with that? Would the ADL disagree with me? Would the JFN, the JFNA, the JF, the JFD, the JFP, the PFJ, the LBC, the QRS, the TLNE? Would any of those three-letter organizations disagree with me that we shouldn't be helping the Jewish children? This is important. There's a real big problem here, and it's not being addressed. And I'm 100% serious in this. Like, I'm not saying any of this sarcastically or anything like that. We need to start a campaign to help the Jewish children, the Israeli children. And if anybody has any ideas as to how we can do this, I'm all ears. I'd love to know. But that's something we need to focus on, and so I appreciate everyone coming on here. What's up, Power? I appreciate y'all being here. I can't believe I did another one of these things and I'm fucking exhausted again. So, I hope everybody has a good, safe Friday night. Don't do anything stupid. And most importantly, go check out all the links in the descriptions. I hate repeating all this shit, the promo stuff. I hate doing it. Just go check out the stuff, the links. Go get the free download. Go watch Hollywoodism. Go read the goddamn Israel Hayom article. It's linked in the description. I've done the hard work for you. Well, actually, reading that article will be difficult because it'll kick you off. But please, go read it. And if I'm wrong, come tell me how I'm wrong. You tell me that there's something else that we should focus on. At the end of the day, after all of my research, all of my journeys, all about the Tartarias and the chemtrails and the vaccines and the us versus them and the Goyim and the this, that, and the other, it comes down to me being like, we need to protect the Jewish children. That is... I'm shocked. I'm shocked. Have yourself a great night, and you pedophiles, kill yourself.